Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I think my wife is having an emotional affair. Leaning toward leaving, but don't want to hurt my children. Advice. Hello, I am new to Reddit and appreciate a place where I can share this thing that is tearing me up inside. So I'm 34 male, my wife is 33 female, and we've been together for almost 13 years. 8 of those years married. We have 3 children. With the rigors of life and work, I would find myself working long hours and trying to use the rest of the time with her and the kids. Things seemed okay until I looked on the phone records one day and saw this strange number on her account. She called and texted this number many times, often when I'm at work, as well as this number calling and texting her. Picture messages and all. My gears start to turn and I ask her about it. She then told me she was communicating with this guy. He's in jail for murdering someone, and they met on Facebook. I naturally told her to stop communicating with this man, and she told me she would. Days went by and I was still mad as hell. Working hard, paying the bills, cooking, freaky sex as much as I can get it, never cheated, and I still realized this fate. I was so hurt that I actually cried in front of her for the first time we had been together. All she did was console me, and we had sex in an old shed. We were in the country. Months went by, but I still had a bad feeling about this situation. After texting about it, she expressed how she is sorry she hurt me and how she wants to be with me forever, blah blah blah. So one day we were just hanging out at the house, kids just left to go with their grandparents, and I checked the mail. It was from the Department of Corrections in my state. What is this? I asked her with an angry look on my face. She snatched it out of my hand and opened it. She read the letter, tore it up and went to work. She said nothing at all and left. When she was gone, I went to the trash can and taped all of the shreds together. It was a denial letter of visitation. My heart dropped and I became extremely sad. This sadness quickly turned into anger, and I haven't looked at her the same since. I try to talk about it with her and she doesn't want to, unless she's at work, 3rd shift, and she can text. Up to this point, years after learning of her trying to go see him, they still communicate with each other when I'm not around, sometimes when we're hanging out at home. I've expressed to her how I don't like this situation, and she just acts like nothing is wrong and just tries to throw a bandage on it with sex. She could get me before, but not now. I'm on the fence with this marriage. She's beautiful and a great mother, I just don't see her the same. I've unfortunately built up resentment towards her that ends up with a cold bed at night, her on one side and me on the other. Sometimes I want to leave, but I think about my young children, 2 of which are in elementary and 1 in middle. I grew up without my father, so I know how that feels, and I don't want that same fate for my kids, little people who didn't ask to be here. At this point in my life, I just want peace of mind. To not stress about who the person I love deeply is taking/texting. Also not make her feel bad for her wanting to fill some type of void in her life. This guy and I are total opposites. I've never been locked up, and I can handle any situation that comes up. Maybe she doesn't know what to do with someone like me, and this other guy is completely dependent on other people. I don't know. Am I being controlling and insecure? Are these just the rigors of marriage? Any advice is appreciated. You think she's having an EA? No buddy, she is having an EA. She's not going to stop having an EA, simply because you've not held her accountable and have not given her consequences for her actions. You've trained her that giving you sex will get you off her back, so she can go back to communicating with her convict in peace, until the next time you chime in. She knows exactly how to manipulate the situation. You get laid, she does her thing, rinse and repeat. As long as you keep doing what you're doing, she'll keep doing what she's doing. If you want to stay married and keep your family intact, you have to handle your business. Set a firm boundary, with crystal clear consequences for violating them. Then be a man of your word, something you have not been so far. I can't tell you who to talk to or what to do, but if you continue to communicate, in any form, with this murderer, I will have no other option than to divorce you and move on with my life without you. Boom. End of discussion. If she gives any pushback, at all, arguing, denying, negotiating, anything, you serve her divorce papers. You follow through. If you've already had enough of her bullshit, get to a lawyer and go over your options. Serve her papers and explain exactly why you're divorcing her. No need to argue about it, state your reasons and end the conversation. You can tell her that the divorce will be final in, say, 4 months. Your lawyer can let you know how long it takes, so she has that exact amount of time to convince you to stay, but without concrete and verifiable actions, not words, on her part, you're done. Stop beating around the bush and allowing her to dictate your life. Stand up for yourself, because no one else will. While you mull it over, enact the 180 treatment, to the letter. Nothing will get better until you decide to actually do something, bro. That woman is in love. Emotional affairs are unbelievably serious. You are very close to being dumped if your significant other is getting emotionally close to someone. It's not just an itch people need to scratch, like when people get the urge to sleep with someone else. When women have affairs, it's very likely to be more than sex. It's an emotional connection, it's intimacy, it's closeness. If that happens, you're ducked and it's a matter of time before she leaves you. All straight women want is a man they can connect with on a very deep level. If she's this obsessed with him only through letters, baby, that's love. Why do you guys think women freak out when you're texting someone or if you only kissed someone? In some ways there are things that can be way more intimate than sex, and that's a worse betrayal, emo. A personal conversation, a quiet, sensual kiss. That shows a connection, a deeper attraction. Not a meaningless urge. Once there's intimacy, you're toast. She's probably in love. Op thinks his wife is a bored housewife with a pen pal, but she can't quit this man and she even wants to go see him. Op, please trust your gut. This is not normal. Women don't write secret letters to men they're friends with. This is an emotional affair and it can destroy your family. It can devastate you and you will be devastated if she ends this first. Don't be naive. You know exactly what's going on. I agree with you completely, but let's not forget to call into focus that her love is a convicted murderer. I mean, if a woman pursues another man who is not a criminal, it is horrible, but this op contacted an attorney yesterday. Op, read this and have it tattooed on your arm. This is solid gold. Yeah, how can he call a good mother when she wants and is actively pursuing a relationship with a murderer? That isn't healthy for the kids. That means she doesn't care for their future, just for her crotch. Hand her divorce papers that may shake her up. If you decide to not divorce, make it really hard for her to reconcile, but I would rather divorce. Some people are just sick and it's better to be done with them. Op needs to remember this, she can say no. That's her right. But life as she knows it with you must change forever. Also to add, he should have it in writing that his children are never to be around this man when he's released from prison. He's a murderer and not something I'd ever feel comfortable having around my kids. Amen. This is the best advice ever. Best advice you're going to get. Your wife is a ducking lunatic first of all. What person in their right mind would communicate with someone who is in jail for that? Actually, if you think about it, she may be looking for a way to get rid of you. It's not that far-fetched. This guy gets out of jail, he comes and finds you and murders you, and she thinks she can get off scot-free and just claim the guy was a jealous murderer. I'd file for divorce immediately. Whatever intentions this woman has with him, it is not good and it is not anything that will benefit you or your children. What person in their right mind would communicate with someone who is in jail for that? Some women really get off on the bad boy vibe. Charles Manson had a lot of female fans, several of whom wanted to marry him even though he was never going to be released from prison. As anyone who works in a prison facility, it's far more common than most people can believe. Yes, it's really freaking nuts. Didn't Ted Bundy have a kid with his girlfriend while in prison? Also, Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, had a slew of female admirers. Your wife obviously has more than one issue to address. Yep. As a teen, I remember reading an article in a magazine about this. One woman was obsessed with and engaged to a serial killer who scooped out his victim's eyes with a spoon. I'll never understand women who are like that, who are fangirls over mass murderers. She has the imagination and sick fantasy of a 16-year-old girl. Then it sounds like this isn't some romance novel where they're gonna come and sweep you off your feet. Chances are he would just take a literal 2x4 and bash her head in. Your wife is a ducking lunatic first of all. This. I'd sue for divorce and 100% custody because I would not trust her with my kids. Not when she's carrying on with a ducking murderer. Your wife is a ducking lunatic first of all. I'm crying laughing because it seems rather obvious on that one, doesn't it? Thank you for bringing me to tears the only way I want to be brought to tears, laughter, smiley face. Just doing my daily community service. G'day. It's just so dark to be drawn to killers. I know lonely women often write to inmates, which, okay, rolling eyes face. But a man convicted of murder? What if he's a Chris Watts type who killed his entire family? What if he's actually super dangerous? What if he killed his wife? That shows such poor judgment and a will to throw her whole life away because she's obviously unhappy and lost in life. She knows Op will be distracted with sex, so that's all she does to buy herself some time, but I'd be very nervous if I was Op. If she wants to have a murderer as a life partner, then she's an idiot, but Op needs to think about his kids. This is not a fit mother if she's willing to bring that man into their lives. And if she's not planning on leaving Op for him, then she needs to go to therapy and stop corresponding with that man. Put your foot down, Op. This is coming from a feminist woman who believes women are free people and men shouldn't stop them from doing anything. I'd like to believe this is a very reasonable exception. This is not okay in the slightest. Have you seen Escape at Danny Mora? I assume he's in for life, but if he has mental control over your wife, there's no telling what she would do for him. I'd run and let him have her. Edit. Also check your bank account statements to see if she's putting money on his books. She may also have a secret account to do this. This much. Take all money from joint accounts and separate it. Get new accounts, wills, etc. Be careful here. Take half the money from the joint accounts in order to avoid potential problems. True, just take half. Very good point. So, the fact she tried to visit him and hid it says it all. And she is conducting a long-term emotional affair that she tried to turn into a physical face-to-face one with a murderer. You need to send her on her way. Contact the prison authorities and tell them to block his contact. That it is distressing your marriage and affecting your children, etc. Some people have a morbid fascination about killers. Seen this as a forensic psychiatric nurse. Psychopaths lure people into their world. Exactly. I think he should be on the side of his wife and break this spell this guy has over her. This is quite simple. You are going to sue her for divorce. You are going to demand full custody as she was attempting to have a relationship with a convict. Provide the letter denying her visitation as your evidence. Anything involving a criminal with her children will force the courts into awarding the safe, parent full custody. EAs are just as intense as physical relationships. Go see a lawyer, in fact see several. Show them the letter, and outline your case. Blindside her with the papers. Oh, and make sure her friends, parents and relatives know all about this. I was involved with something similar. Woman had dated the guy through HS, and when he went to prison, suddenly a switch went off in her head. She was in full-blown fog. She started making provisions to move her and the kids near the federal prison where he resided. He would be out in 5 to 10. BH gathers all of this, and has it entered as evidence. WW's lawyer fires her. tells her there is no defense, and she had better rehab her image before court. Her new lawyer is very new and very naive. BH gets it all. The kids. The house. He gets child support. WW gets supervised visitation once every other week. She got a shitty little apartment and her near minimum wage job. The correspondence with her convict ended as it cost her everything but her life. BH cannot trust her, even though he knows she is desperate to get her old life back. Too bad BH is dating another woman. Oh, and PS, that visitation she was going for? Likely a conjugal visit. Now find a lawyer and shred this marriage. Listen to what this guy is telling you. No way have your kids around her. If she likes criminals, she is crazy. You're taking it way too calmly. I wouldn't and didn't leave my children alone with a crazy woman. PS, you also don't know what would happen when this guy potentially is released from prison. Your wife would be his #1 destination. No matter what, you should absolutely meet with a divorce attorney now. If you, for whatever reason, decide to stay for your kids, you, emo, need to have a plan in place for this year, next year, and the year after that. And have a firm plan for what year you will leave and how you prepare financially, etc. for that year. Do not stay a moment longer than you absolutely have to, would be my advice. In the UK, a female prison warden was sacked for having an affair with a convicted murderer, even got pregnant by him. There are lots of psychological articles about this if you search for them, and it's not good. She would most likely leave you for him in an instant if ever he was released. This is deeply disturbing stuff that you cannot fix as the addiction is so strong. I would advise leaving. You have to protect your children, so go for full custody of them and see a lawyer ASAP. He should try to break the psychopath hold this guy has on her first. Why are you guys all for ditching the wife so fast? If he loved her and wasn't just hurt and ego bruised, he would fight for her. Your wife made it pretty clear that she will never cut contact with that guy. He is too important for her. She would rather go behind your back than to cut ties with him. He is more important to her than you, your marriage, or how a divorce might affect your kids. With that knowledge, you know your options. Stay with her and accept that she has a lover that she wants to meet and that she will stay in contact with, no matter how you feel, or pick up your self-respect. Show your kids how you should never allow someone to treat you and serve her the papers. However you decide, if you stay with her, then you know exactly what your future will look like. Please also get tested for STDs. Who knows how many other people your wife is in contact with that are not in prison. Dude. No. Just nope the duck on out of this. As many have said, where you think he's going to go when he gets paroled? It ain't gonna be his mama's house, I can tell you that. Your wife is not a good mother, she's not a good anything. She'd willing expose her children to this ducker. Probably already has plans for it. You need to wrap this up and divorce. Get your kids as far away from this shit as possible. Turn all you have over to a lawyer and let them take it from there. As another commenter said, your wife's a lunatic. Some good advice here, but the very first thing you need to do ASAP is to find out when this guy may get released from prison. Then talk to a lawyer and police about how to protect yourself and your children should he ever get out. Make sure you and your family are safe before taking any actions. Clearly your wife is enchanted by him, and clearly he makes poor decisions when upset. This. Holy shit, op. Please make sure you and your kids are protected or have a plan in place before you drop the divorce/separation bomb. Get everything sorted a lawyer, and exactly what the comment says above. Figure out who this felon is and how long he's locked up for. Just because he's in prison, doesn't mean he doesn't have connections on the outside. If your WW flips out or complains to this felon about things you're doing, truth or lies, he might decide to do something to you or the kids to help her out. She has to be in deep to be having an EA with not just a felon but a felon in prison for murder. Then to go behind your back to try and arrange a face-to-face meeting with him. I know you're going through a lot right now, but I'd be getting out of there with the kids ASAP. Why do you censor the word murder? She's beautiful and a great mother. You forgot, but a horrible wife. I grew up without my father, so I know how that feels, and I don't want that same fate for my kids. Oh boy, here we go. You are not your father. Your kids will be fine. You can still be excellent parents, just not married to each other. Staying for the kids is the worst reason to stay. Don't show them that it's okay to stay in a miserable marriage. Besides, a great mother doesn't destroy her family and kids' life. Their father goes to visit some guy in jail. Stay for the kids, op. It will be worse for them if you divorce her. They will spend more time with said murderer. Just try to get some sense into her and break this spell. She could be in danger and you are just going to leave her? You have to protect your wife, of course. If she doesn't snap out of it, it's not your fault. She's beautiful and a great mother. No, she's not. She's a simmering pot of crazy that will eventually boil over. You need to get your shit together. Get a lawyer. Your wife is deep in an emotional affair. You need to divorce and distance yourself from her. A murderer in prison may have contacts on the outside, include gang members or organized crime. You need to distance yourself and your children from that. Divorce and use the evidence in trial that your wife is having an affair with a murderer. Use that to gain better custody of your children, perhaps even primary custody. Damn, this story is wild even for this sub. I'm sorry, but you would probably be doing your kids a favor by divorcing her and trying to get the kids. Stop with the "my cheating so is a good parent" stuff. They are not. Good parents don't destroy the family. Especially for a felon in prison for murder. She would have that person around your kids. Think long and hard about that. She's not only a bad mother, she needs to not have custody when you come to your senses. Plus, she tried to set up a conjugal visit. If you hadn't caught it, the next kid you'd be raising she would want to name Damien. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.